Hi, hello, welcome you stunningly gorgeous people of the internet. I don't know about you, but I want to feel it. I want to feel something. I want to know that what I'm reading is going to just bring out those emotions in me. And what better way than to bring out the emotions in the fall, in the spooky dooky season, than to read some horror, to read some mystery, to read some disgusting books. Why not? Let's do it together. So in today's video, I'm on the journey to read an absolutely feral, disgusting, what the heck sort of book. I'm censoring that, okay? Trying not to do any sort of swearing. Yeah, that's the intention in today's video. I have two books that I have put on hold at the library. I put out a query to you wonderful patrons of the channel asking you what book is like a body horror, disgusting, disturbing book, and I got a ton of submissions, so thank you so much. So I have the notification that I have books on hold at the library. I don't know if it's one or both, but we're gonna go pick them up and see what is on the agenda for the books of this week. Hopefully I get absolutely annihilated with fear and with mystery, with emotions, running, high temperature levels. That's what I want, okay? I want to feel it. Yeah. So let's go pick up the books. But before we find out what books I'm picking up from the library, I would love to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, which is June's Journey. June's Journey is a friend of the channel, so I'm so happy to be partnering with them again. If you do not know what June's Journey is, you are in for a treat because it perfectly aligns with the theme of today's video. June's Journey is a hidden object mystery game that follows June. She is an amateur detective. She's trying to get to the bottom of a murder that happened within her family. So what makes June's Journey so fun? So obviously you do have the hidden object aspect of it. For me, I'm a huge puzzle player. You know that I love games, so that incentive is already in itself incredibly fun, but you do also have the decoration aspect of it. As you advance through the chapters, you are able to unlock hidden features that allow you to decorate the estate. You can just kind of have like a fun little world building scenario. Also, there are seasonal updates and special events that you can unlock as you continue to play the game. If you love a challenging read, you're obviously going to love a challenging game. June's Journey does provide that challenge. I find that as it goes, as the chapters keep going, it gets a little bit harder and harder to find the items. It's fun though. We are readers and we love a good story, and June's Journey does provide that as well. So if you are interested in downloading June's Journey, joining me on the journey of June, hello, you can download June's Journey for free using the link in my bio or the QR code. June's Journey is available on iOS and Android devices as well as on PC. Everybody has a chance to play. So again, if you would like to download June's Journey, you can do so for free with the link in my bio or using the QR code. Thank you so much again to June's Journey. It really helps me out that they continue to partner with the channel. And if you click via my download link, you are helping the channel out as well. So let's see what books I am picking up. Okay, I had to change my shirt because it's hot and it looks like I'm filming on a potato, and I am. It's crazy what you can do with technology nowadays. Let's go pick out that book. Oh, I'm excited. It feels like it's Christmas. It feels like a reward. Okay, this is probably where I should tell you that unfortunately only one of the books was in the library, but I'm so obsessed with going to the library lately. It's very fun when I get that notification. And I was okay with whatever book came through. This time it was a certain book. The other book that was in the running was Walking Practice by Dolki Min. Lots of people said that this was great. My understanding is that this is kind of like a graphic novel exploring a extraterrestrial coming to the Earth? I don't know. Apparently this was also a great one, so if you're ever interested in reading it, a lot of people in the comments suggested picking that one up. I think it's probably worth it. Anyway, I picked up my book and I was excited. It's a classic. Do you know what it is? Yes. Look at that. Do you see that? Okay. Could you guess that this was going to be one of the books? Little ASMR. I love to do it. Yes, this is the potentially infamous The Wasp Factory by Ian Banks. Now listen, okay? I have known about this book for a while. I'd get into the Reddit disturbing book feeds, okay? Redditors love it. They love to talk about it. They say this one is a weird one. And I have heard some people love it, some people hate it. I'm ready to hopefully be disturbed, hopefully be absolutely destroyed. This one has been around for a while. I can't remember, when was it published? I think it was published in 1984. Ian Banks lives in Scotland. I'm assuming he's Scottish. Just the back of this says, meet Frank Kaldheim, just 16 and unconventional to say the least. 2 years after I killed Blythe, I murdered my young brother Paul for quite different and more fundamental reasons than I disposed of Blythe. And then a year after that, I did for my young cousin Esmeralda more or less on a whim. That's my score to date. 3, I haven't killed anybody for years and don't intend to ever again. It was just a stage I was going through. I started to read this. I am currently on page 27, so just got into it. Just a little baby steps into it. And so far, I'm liking it. The first couple of pages, I felt like I was not going to enjoy it. Also, I'm going to say something. There is a particular font. When this font is in a book, I do not love it. I do not love it at all. I don't know what it is, but every time I see that font, I just know I'm going to be, it almost feels like the text is so dense, in my opinion. I'm very strange to those sensations in books. I'm not sure why. Anyway, this book has that text, and I don't love it, so it kind of put me off for it. Don't ask, okay? Don't ask. I'm just a human just trying to function in a world. I was a little concerned that I was going to be put off by that, but obviously I got over it because I'm a big girl. I put on my big girl pants, and I've started to enjoy it. So far, you've introduced the character of Frank. This all takes place within his mind. You also have the character of Eric, who is his brother, who was put into a mental institution. Right away you find out that Eric has escaped. His father is also a very strange character. He kind of raised the boys without any sort of identification. Like in the United States it would be Social Security, very hippie-ish. So you can kind of understand the infrastructure of how these people live their lives. There's like a part of this that makes me feel like it takes place in a sepia-colored room, and everybody's smoking a cigarette, and things are weird. It also reminds me of the movie Bug, if you've ever seen that, with I think Ashley Judd is her name, and Michael Strahan, not Strahan, that Michael guy. He looks like a Lego, like a tall Lego, in my opinion. That's what this book reminds me of so far, and I think it's just because it's called The Wasp Factory. Weird. I think it's gonna read pretty quickly. I honestly hope it gets really weird. Like, I want to be so freaked out. That's what I hope happens here. So let's pray for the best, sister. What a weird little book. This is so odd. I am on page 63. I'm getting over my fear of that font. It still feels a little bit like it's unnecessarily dark, but I'm getting over that because I should. Yeah, what is going on with this book? This is also, the edition that I have is only 184 pages, so I have about 120 pages for this to really pick up steam. It's slowly starting to do that. You're slowly starting to see the makings of a murderer. You have the classic animal problems, we'll say that. There's like to identify a killer, they have the wetting the bed at night, then they have the animal problems, and there's like another thing as well, but those are all characteristics of people who went on to become murderers. There's that definitely happening. And what else is happening? What else did I not talk about in this book? So you have Frank, who is the main character. He's 16 years old. I said he lives with his father. The book opens with him talking about he has these things that he's building, and right now on page 62 he's basically introducing us to this wasp factory where he is encasing these wasps in these little cubicles and kind of running experiments on them. It's all the inner workings of his mind, so everything is very much this macabre look into his brain. There is also the flashbacks to his childhood where he began to have these very devious thoughts. His first murder, which was one of his cousins, where he made it look like an accident. Let's just say that, if you don't want any spoilers. There is also the introduction of his brother Eric, who is like a half-brother. They share a different father, I believe, and Eric has escaped from a mental institution. I think I briefly talked about this as well. Eric is being introduced through these phone calls, these very ominous phone calls, where he's not alluding to exactly where he is, but he's saying, I'm here, I'm around here, and Frank is, of course, trying to pinpoint where he is, but Eric doesn't want anybody to know because he doesn't want to be brought back into the insane asylum. Now, there is like a disability that Frank kind of briefly mentions that he has. It affects the way that he uses the restroom. I think that this is something that is going to be revealed in the end, really the epicenter of why he became the person that he is. My predictions for this book are that it is going to show the psychological torture of trauma, something that has happened to somebody and made him into this very flawed and very devilish character. I do think it's all about getting ownership and trying to have control over something that might have been out of your hands. I feel like it might have something to do with his brother Eric. This is running a little bit slower than I thought it was going to run. I'm hoping that it picks up speed a little bit. I do have to say, I'm also simultaneously reading The Bee Sting for my book club, and there's a lot of bunker talk in both of those books. So I keep on reading this, and he's talking about going to a bunker, and then in The Bee Sting, if you've ever read it, there's a lot of talk about going to the bunker as well. So I keep on getting a little confused by the two. That's what's happening with this. I'm just going to read a little bit more today. It's very overcast. I think I might also go on a long walk into the city, pick up some groceries, and just try to enjoy myself, get out of the house, because rainy days do affect my mood, and this book is also affecting my mood. So let's get a little bit more positive. Why don't we? I finished this damn book. I finished it. Or did it finish me? I'm not sure. Those are the questions that I have to ask myself. Yeah, 60 pages in really didn't give me the full layout of what was going to be happening in this book. I would even argue and say that you don't know everything that's happened in this book until you actually finish it, because it is a little bit jigsawian. You get a little morsel of information, and then you think you skipped over some information, so it doesn't really make sense, but then everything eventually makes sense in the end, kind of. To be honest, when I was making this video, I toyed with the idea of if I actually wanted to put this video out, because this book did upset me. There's a lot of things in this book that, I think probably, I don't know if YouTube will even like if I talk about it, so I'm going to try to do it in the most basic terms possible when I'm talking about it. But I also just felt sad during a lot of this, and a lot of the reasoning for the main character doing the things that he does isn't really present, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So let's do the full rundown of this book, this classic. So I was talking about Frank in the last time that we checked in, and now as the book progresses, you start to get a little bit more of a display of the members of the family, or the little side characters. In addition to Frank and his father and Eric, you have the introduction of his mother. She's only there for one chapter, but if you've read the book, you understand that it's such a monumental chapter. In fact, when she's reintroduced in the book, you come to find out exactly what sort of disability the main character is suffering from. Now, without giving too much information, I will say that there was an incident involving a severing of something. It's a kind of integral part of the story, but you do understand that Frank, the main character, does actually have a mother. Just a very, very sad relationship. A sad relationship to women in general, I'd say. Both him and his father have a strange relationship to women. So, aside from that, you also have Jamie, who is Frank's best friend. Frank goes out, drinks a couple of times, has this really, oh my goodness, kind of a funny conversation with his father about flatulence. My father has a theory about the link between mind and bowel being both crucial and very direct. It's another of his ideas which he keeps trying to interest people in. He has a manuscript on the subject, The State of the Fart, which he also sends away to London to publishers now and again, in which they of course send back to by return. He has variously claimed that from farts he can tell not only what people have eaten or drunk, but also the sort of person they are, whether they ought to eat, whether they are emotionally unstable or upset, whether they are keeping secrets, laughing at you behind your back, or trying to ingratiate themselves with you, and even what they are thinking about the precise moment they issue the fart. This largely from the sound. All total nonsense. So the book, aside from having scenes that you won't forget, like really disgusting scenes, there's also very, not even vulgar, but I would say it steeps in both the horrifying and just a little bit of the disgusting. That's the friend Jamie, who ends up kind of being a scapegoat for every time that Eric calls. I think that's the reason that that character was probably introduced. So every time that Eric calls the house and the father doesn't know that Eric is calling, Frank wants to hide Eric. He says it's Jamie, so that's that. There's also Mrs. Clamp, I think, who is kind of like a caretaker, is kind of a step-in mother for the boys. All of them are kind of non-essential aside from Eric, Frank, and the father. I even thought that the father was a throwaway character, honestly. I thought that the main story was going to be about Eric and Frank, but it is not. It is not. Now let's talk about Eric. So Eric is obviously the brother of the main character, Frank. Eric is absolutely bonkers. Basically, the relationship of Eric and Frank is told through only phone calls and through flashbacks. Eric was a very wonderful person. He went away to become a doctor, and he spent a lot of time in the ward taking care of children who were deemed kind of like they weren't probably going to survive, but he was in that ward taking care of them, making sure that they were getting the best care while they were alive. Well, there was an incident that happened, probably one of the most horrific scenes in the book. The way that the shocks of this book play out is it's, in my opinion, very, very, very boring, and then something happens that you, oh, that's rough. So Eric has this schism that happens. Something just completely ruptures his conscience and his brain, and he's unable to go forth after that. And that is when he starts going nuts. He starts abusing animals. He starts terrorizing the town, and he is sent away. To me, again, Eric probably wasn't necessarily a character that had to be brought up in this. The true twist is in the ending. I will say that it has to do with the father and the son. The breadcrumbs were kind of there, but ultimately I didn't see it coming at all. Really didn't feel anything about the twist. I think that there was a lot of other scenes in this book that were really bleh. I did make a prediction that the character was doing these actions because they didn't have control of something, and I think I was unintentionally very spot on with that. Overall, as far as like gross, disgusting, horror adjacent books go, this one's pretty good. I was a little bit upset with the children being like, I still don't understand why those murders happened, why Frank decided to be a murderer, because that doesn't even stick out to me in the end. It doesn't even make sense to me that that had to be a part of the story. If you wanted to have this really diabolical story, I feel like you could have been fine with just this confusion leading up to the big twist at the end. It almost feels like the killings were just a way to throw in some shock value. To me, they didn't really add to the story, and anything with like children really upsets me. Am I happy that I read this book? Yeah, I'm happy. I do think that it's a classic of this kind of obscure dark fiction. I think when it was published in 1984, it was probably much more of a shocking book than it is now. A lot of boring parts that I think were supposed to keep you on the edge of your seat, supposed to keep that thrilling atmosphere happening, but I don't think that it did that. I think it just bored you. I wrestled with putting this out there, a whole video dedicated to it, but I do think that it is in the canon of disturbing books, and I like talking about those sorts of things, so I figured why not put it out. If you've read it, let me know. I know that it's polarizing, and I would love to have your opinions of it, and let me know what book is like really disturbing for you and actually disturbing. Anyway, you guys are wonderful. You're fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to June's Journey for sponsoring today's video. Click the link in my bio or scan the QR code to download June's Journey for free today. I'll see you